Everybody, and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be doing a 2024 election prediction between Joe Biden and Mike Pence. I actually just finished recording a video for tomorrow. I have to edit a lot of it. It's going to probably be some editing work. But it was me reviewing and analyzing and I guess reacting to UAP's recent DeSantis versus Harris video. So that hopefully will be up by tomorrow. But yeah, I'm gonna get started with this. Joe Biden safe states: Nebraska, Missouri. No, I'm kidding. Not Nebraska. His safe states: Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado. Um, I think that he's not amazing with the Hispanic and Latino vote. Which would not be great in Colorado. However, I think that Pence would be even weaker. I don't think that Biden would run an amazing candidate or amazing campaign for him. But I think it would probably be strong enough, especially considering the fact that he'd also do pretty well in rural areas. Or pretty well. He'd probably do against Pence. He'd probably do decent. Now for Pence's safe states: Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska's at-large and 3rd congressional districts, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia. Now for Biden's likely states, I'm going to have to go give him New Mexico. Nebraska's second. By the way, sorry, tomorrow's video is going to be like 35 minutes. So just to brace you, for that. Yeah, those are it. So in Minnesota, I mean, like, he's strong with the white working class. He'd probably do pretty well in the Iron Range, and he'd probably do decent with white rural farmers, especially against Pence. But I think that Minnesota, he'd also do really well in the suburbs. Better. Obviously, Pence is better than Trump in the suburbs, but he's also, I don't think he's amazing in the suburbs. His Trumpism or his loyalty to Trump, even though he didn't overturn the election results, probably would be costing him there. In Nebraska's second, he is not good enough in the suburbs. Once again, not going to be a good enough candidate in urban areas. In Maine's second, it's like UEP actually said in that video, I think a bit ago. It is very inelastic. It doesn't shift much. Clinton only won it by a little bit, but it's going to consistently be roughly the same margin of victory for the Democrats. And I don't see Pence doing well enough with the white rural vote. And in New Mexico, I think that Pence would be pretty weak, obviously with the Hispanic and Latino vote, but I also don't necessarily know that he'd be amazing with the working class in New Mexico. For Pence's likely states, I'm going to give him Kansas, Nebraska's first, Missouri, Indiana, South Carolina, and Alaska. Montana could have been likely. I think that Montana is more of like a moderate state, and Pence is more moderate than Trump is. And if Trump already carried it safe, I don't see Biden being able to make the gains, especially against Pence, in a more moderate-minded state that he would need to. In Nebraska's first, it was 15. It was a 15. I think it was like 15 on the dot percent margin of victory for Trump. I don't see Pence doing amazingly in the suburbs. I also don't see him doing terribly well in a lot of these rural areas. Definitely not well enough to keep it safe. In Alaska, I don't see him doing well enough with oil workers, and it's shifting to the left, which isn't a great argument for anything. But we're seeing more and more Native American turnout. So yeah, I actually did comment that something shifting to the left is not a great argument. So I will actually try to stop using that as a simple basis for an argument. But to be fair, it is. But it's. I feel like whenever you're making an argument about something, the argument shouldn't simply be it's shifting this way. Like, provide evidence. I'm not certain. I actually haven't looked much into Alaska as to why it's shifting so hard to the left. But it has shifted continuously in recent years. In Kansas, I don't see him doing well enough in the suburbs of Kansas City or in Wichita, but I also don't see him doing well enough with white rural voters. In Missouri, similar thing. He's not going to be able to do well enough in a lot of these more urban areas and in the suburbs, and it'd also probably do pretty weak with the white rural vote. Indiana, it is his home state. I don't see him doing well enough with the white working class, all that Trump 2016-2020 voters. I don't see him retaining enough of them or turning enough of them out. In South Carolina, I don't see him doing well enough with the black vote. To be able to make it safe. I mean, like, he would have to shift it like 4% to the left or to the right. When it's as a whole has been shifting to the left in recent years. I think that as we see him do better and better with the black or Democrats, I think that as we see the black vote making up more and more of the electorate, or I guess Democrats doing better with them. I mean, I don't have a map up, but Democrats it's shifted to the left since 2000 by a likely margin, which I think most southern states hadn't. So that is a fairly strong sign for Democrats. For Biden's lean states, I'm gonna go give him Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, uh, New Hampshire should have been likely. Virginia also should have been likely, and Georgia. So in New Mexico, Nevada, DeSantis would not be strong enough with the Hispanic and Latino vote. He also probably wouldn't be able to do well enough with the rural vote and with the working class. And probably wouldn't be able to do well enough in a lot of these suburbs. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, he's too weak with the white working class. He's too bland. His message is just not gonna be exciting to any of these candidates or to any of these voters. In New Hampshire, I don't see him doing well enough with the white rural college educated vote. I mean, like, probably decent, but not well enough to be able to make it lean. In Virginia, I don't see him doing well enough in these DC suburbs, these very liberal DC suburbs, and he probably wouldn't get the rural turnout that he needed. In Georgia, I don't see him once again doing well enough for the rural areas. He would probably have low rural turnout, which would be really bad for him. But he also probably wouldn't be able to do very well in Atlanta and its suburbs. I mean, like, he is a very, very weak candidate in an area like Atlanta. But for his lean states, I'm gonna go give him Texas, Ohio, Iowa, and Maine's second. So, looking at this, in Texas, he is too weak for the white rural vote, too weak for the Hispanic and Latino vote, too weak in the Rio Grande Valley, honestly. I could see Trump doing really well there. I could see DeSantis doing really well there. I could see Don Jr. doing really well there. I could see Ted Cruz doing really well there. Marco Rubio doing really well there. Or maybe Rubio. Some of these more exciting candidates, but I don't see like Mike Pence doing really well there. Pence and Haley both would not do very well there, I don't think. Um, and I honestly just don't see him getting the support he needs all across the state to be able to win it. In Iowa and Ohio, he's not great for the working class in Ohio. The suburbs are going to continue to shift it to the left. Or the suburbs are going to continue to shift to the left. He's not great with the working class there. He'd also probably do pretty weak in more urban areas like Toledo, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati. He'd also do pretty weak in Iowa. I don't see him doing well enough with the white rural vote with all these farmers. To be able to make it likely. I see Biden doing well there. I mean, like, he's a fairly strong candidate for him. And the main second, another similar thing, he's not going to do well enough with a lot of these rural white voters to be able to make it likely. Now, for the final states, Biden's tilt states, Arizona, not North Carolina, just Arizona. So in Arizona, Biden is I think that it's a more traditionally GOP statement, like, or traditional Republican statement. Like, Ducey won there by like 3%. Like, Ducey is not exactly an amazing candidate. But he did, or yeah. I don't think that Ducey is like necessarily the GOP model. But I'm going to go look at this. He did win here, and he won here by a pretty large margin, like 4.2%. That was like a 3% margin of victory. But I don't think that Pence is exactly like Ducey. He is sort of a traditional Republican, but he is definitely very Trumpist. And I don't see him getting the suburban support, and I see him doing really poorly with the Hispanic and Latino vote. For his tilt, actually, I'm going to give Biden North Carolina by a tilt margin. For North Carolina, I think that Biden would do better with the working class in the West. He'd probably do better than against Pence in Charlotte and a lot of these urban areas. He'd do better with the black vote in North Carolina than he against Pence than he would Trump, because Pence is just a really weak candidate for the voters. We'd also likely see less rural white Republican turnout, which is why I'm going to give it to Biden narrowly. In Florida, I would give this to Biden by a tilt margin if it weren't for his lack of ability to run a strong campaign for Hispanic and Latino voters. Because here's the thing, I mean, like, I think we could see Pence do better um, like, older white voters, but I think that he would be not amazing in Miami. He probably wouldn't be very well in the suburbs either. Which is why I think that we could see this going to Biden by a tilt margin if Pence, or if he weren't such a bad candidate there, because assuming he were good there, or even just an average Democrat, Pence is really weak with Hispanic and Latino voters in Miami. He would do really poorly there. He would likely lose Duval County, Seminole County, Pinellas County, by fairly large margins for those counties. And we'd also likely see less Trumpist turnout. Trumpists don't necessarily they voted for Trump by a pretty large margin, but I don't necessarily think that we're gonna see something like that, like we would see in like Wisconsin. But I do think that Pence would narrowly carry it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Hopefully I can get all the editing done. I do have school tomorrow, and then I have a soccer game after that. Other than that, I think I'm pretty free, so I'll probably be able to get some work done. I also have some time between them and my game. Also, comment below, first off, suggestions for another video. But second, I guess what season of The Simpsons I should watch, because, I mean, like, I just finished season 4, and I liked it. So yeah, I mean, like, if you didn't know, I love The Simpsons. I talk about it a lot, on this channel. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, please comment down below, because I just finished season 4, and it was pretty good. People are always talking about the golden age of the show. I mean, like, I guess, I mean, like, I didn't necessarily love it more than, like, season 28. I mean, like, I like a lot of these more recent seasons a lot. But it was a good season. So yeah, that was a bit random. But please comment your suggestions down below for future videos. I've done, I think, like, every major election prediction matchup. I've done Harris versus Haley. I've done Biden versus Haley. I've done Biden DeSantis, Harris DeSantis, then Trump, Harris, Biden, Trump. I've done a lot of these things. So please comment your suggestions down below for future videos. The month of April is almost up, or over. It'll be over in like a little over a week, I think. So then I'll be able to do my I think a little over a week, like not a long time from now. So I'll be able to do my Senate update as of then. I may do like a governor's update if you guys want me to. But yeah, please comment your suggestions down below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.